Previously on TVSins.
Do you have any last words?
I love lamp.
I'm tired of sending the 2 full minutes of opening credits, so let's ding HBO for the fact that this static intro bumper hasn't changed in 22 years. Seriously, I don't know if I'm watching Game of Thrones or Dream On. Also, what kind of lazy media company uses the sound of static as a transition? Lame. Show opens on 13 seconds of every single fucking step of loading a catapult. If I can't sling a pumpkin more than 3,636 feet with today's torque tech, then I call shenanigans on these ships launching giant flaming projectiles this far into the city. Also, these trebuchets are on boats. I want this to work, but these are not seaworthy weapons. The counterweights to fling these stones would wreak havoc on the ship and rock it around like it's brawn in a brothel. Danny has just returned from A Dryad-inspired Renfest, B, a tryout for the WWE, or C, Coachella.
No ruler that ever lived had the support of all the people.
Clearly, Game of Thrones has never been privy to one King Ralph.
I will crucify the masters. I will set their fleets afire, kill every last one of their soldiers, and return their cities to the dirt.
And this is Game of Thrones' version of one of the good guys.
The dragons beneath the Great Pyramid will be slaughtered.
Man, what the masters lack in charm, they sure do make up for it with guyliner.
Your reign is over.
Drogon flying towards these arrogant pricks in the distance is just the best. I will always admire a show that's somehow able to be subtle and kick-ass hyperbolic in the same scene.
My reign has just begun.
Also, in addition to being badass, it's also a tad confusing. Does Daenerys have Drogon remote controlled by distant one-liners? Also, this is a great moment and all, but sudden dragon? Like, Drogon barely made a peep before he revealed himself. Also, were the f***ing masters not expecting this? Even if they'd never seen a dragon in action, they do know that Daenerys has dragons, damn it. Everyone's scared of dragons. Carl, Jim, Brandon, you're doing a great job holding the weapons and crouching. But your interest in this scene is the huge f***ing dragon on your left, not your buddies on the other side of the set. Extras. I know Game of Thrones like to drag its storylines out as long as possible, but Tyrion unchained those dragons at the beginning of the season. Have they seriously just been biding their time in the dungeon until the masters decided to show up and wage war, which no one knew was going to happen? Also, look at that Dothraki horde. The majesty, the passion, the invulnerability. Good thing they're not going anywhere.
Dracarys.
I'm sorry, Danny, but it's pronounced Avada Kedavra.
Thank you for the Armada. Our queen does love ships.
Except for these. These in particular. Good thing he knelt, and the other two just happened to be standing within arm's reach. Otherwise, Grey Worm wouldn't have been able to Grey Worm so effectively.
Tell your people what happened here. Tell them you live by the grace of Her Majesty.
Won't this be the 3rd time they've tried this tactic? I get you can't just kill everyone, but maybe Tyrion should have let Daenerys have her way this time. She basically did everything she said she wanted to do, except kill this one master. You know, a show is tapped out of wardrobe creativity when a man wears an accordion-pleated monstrosity such as this.
You don't have the men, you don't have the horses, and you don't have Winterfell.
But he does have incredibly precise stitches. Never underestimate a man with a plastic surgeon in his ranks.
And you're all fine-looking men. My dogs are desperate to meet you.
I mean, Game of Thrones has a lot of evil asshole villains, but Ramsay is the only one that I could literally see twirling his mustache during every line.
I haven't fed them for 7 days. They're ravenous.
Foreshadowing. Jesus, I think Jon seriously thinks he can win this showdown by sexually staring Ramsay to death.
They won't be able to hit us the way that Stannis hit you in a double envelopment. A pincer move.
I once suggested a double envelopment and a pincer move on the very same night, and that's the story of how my college girlfriend became my former college girlfriend.
Did it ever once occur to you that I might have some insight?
It's true, Jon. You should totally confide in Sansa, and there's no way that will ever backfire on you someday.
Aye, what have I been doing all my life? Playing with broomsticks?
Based on your commitment to celibacy until recently, I would imagine that's exactly what you've been doing most of your life.
Maybe that was our mistake, believing in kings.
Jon Snow's not a king.
We hate kings, but we love Jon Snow because he can't be a king, and simultaneously wish there was a way for Jon to be king, while also preparing ourselves emotionally because this is Game of Thrones, and at any moment Jon is apt to die a horrible death. The one thing I really want Game of Thrones to explain to me is who gets stuck carrying all this furniture on these long travels. Did Melisandre really need that mirror, chair, and the fire pit? Wait, is she dripping? Look at those huge pupils. Now that I think of it, interpreting flames is something people do at those festivals, or so I've heard.
And how have things been going for you since then?
Well, if you really want to know, I can tell you in great detail, because if there is one thing this show does well, it's keeping up to date on the life and times of Theon Greyjoy, despite the fact that we barely even cared for him in season 1.
We all live complicated lives, don't we?
Look, Peter Dinklage is a fantastic actor, don't get me wrong, but some Americans just can't quite nail the British accent, and I think we've given P. Dink a pass on this show for far too long.
And I imagine your offer is free of any marriage demands.
I never demand, but I'm up for anything, really.
This flirting is all wonderful, and I'm sure it provided much needed fanfic juice for millions. But it also just kind of comes out of nowhere, right?
No more reaving, roving, raiding, or raping.
But what about ravaging, rustling, risking, retaliating, ruining, rupturing, robbing, ripping, ransacking, raising, or recklessly removing rotten raspberries? Also, no more raiding and raping makes sense, but who the hell cares about a little reaving and roving? I'm sorry, Mum, but we clearly said no roving, so please state your intended destination and proceed with due haste. And if you could please put away that rope, we will not have you putting that through a ring on our watch. All this scene is missing is Black Widow cocking a gun. Oh man, Ramsay made a barbecue for the visiting team. Maybe he's not as bad as I thought.
Let's play a game. Run to your brother.
Last time I played Run to Your Brother with a Ramsay, I ended up with a horseshoe up my ass and marshmallow cream in my hair. I would like to say I don't have fond memories of that occasion, but here we are. The fact that Rickon runs straight ahead when someone is firing arrows at him makes so little sense that I hereby request to the Lord of the TVSins light that from this day forward on this channel, all straight running students will attend the Rickon Stark School of Running Away from Things. Okay, let's just pause to reflect on this poor bastard's passing. But also, Jon's right there, dude. You just made that shot, so why wouldn't you take the leader out in the exact same way? Smoldering stares between hero and villain right before the battle begins, cliche. Holy did Jon even, check for a pulse or anything? I know it looked bad, but this is his brother. They couldn't at least drag him off the battlefield? In addition to this he's gonna get trampled. 10 seconds of horse close-ups. Good thing Jon applied enough arrow repellent today. Nothing beats a good anti-perspirant. The next 20 minutes are absolutely genius filmmaking by the Game of Thrones team, and the fact that it's happening on a television screen is nothing short of miraculous. Take your sins off, you beautiful bastard, you. Huh, Jon must have developed the same selective hearing that the Masters had before Drogon snuck up on them. I know he's hyper-focused, but he didn't hear the goddamn army right behind him?
No!
Who's there? Even amidst the confusion of battle, the show does an incredible job of keeping the geography and intention clear. It's fabulous action editing. At least we know that Thrones will understand the importance of being able to actually see and follow things the next time there's a big battle outside the gates of Winterfell, right? When crowd surfing goes terribly wrong. Awesome! It's the Riders of Rohan or something. And seriously, what took these assholes so long? Also, Sansa wrote to Littlefinger a few episodes back asking for aid and failed to mention it to Jon. Why? What good would it do to withhold even the possibility of this tide-changing ally? I get that Sansa just leveled up by pulling this Deus Veil Machina and everything, but isn't it a bit premature smile-abration here, considering she doesn't even know if her brother is still alive?
They don't have the men for a siege. All we have to do is wait.
I get Ramsay as a psychopath and ignorant, but he's not blind. The Baelish battalion seems like more than enough for a siege. The only thing worse than seeing horses perish by the hundreds on a battlefield is watching one of the last giants die. 1-1 is done.
You suggested one-on-one combat, didn't you? I've reconsidered.
This works for even a second. I like to think that Jon looks back on this moment fondly as the Bolton Bash, but then he probably doesn't give me credit for coming up with the name.
I'm gonna bury my brother in the crypt, next to my father.
As opposed to what? An unmarked grave in the back 40? Literally everyone in this world would know that the Stark bloodline should be buried with their ancestors. Who needed to be reminded of this, other than the audience? Sansa seems to have the dramatic timing abilities down with dogs like Daenerys does with her dragons. Oh, who's the good boy? Who's the hungry boy? Who's gonna eat a big face? You are. I realize this probably makes me morbid, but yes!
Sheesh, Igor, I think he chewed your ear off.
Kill every last one of their soldiers and return their cities to the dirt.
Tell your people what happened here.
You tell them I'm coming! And hell's coming with me, you hear?
Sleep well, I'll most likely kill you in the morning.
You saw these demons?
What?
No, it's a manner of speaking.
His people are completely literal. Metaphors are gonna go over his head.
Nothing goes over my head. My reflexes are too fast.
Any advice?
Hey, I don't have all the answers. In life, to be honest, I've failed as much as I've succeeded.
The sooner you make it to him, the sooner you get to see him again.
It's a trap!